How to flip houses using other people's money. This is how the pros do it, flipping houses with other people's money. You don't need cash, you need credibility and a plan. In this video, I'll break down how to raise and use OPM, other people's money, to flip houses safely. By the end of this video, you're gonna learn how to use other people's money to fund flips and build wealth without draining your savings. 20% down is for beginners. Do you know how many times I hear people say, I'd like to flip a house or buy a rental, but I have to put 20% down, don't I? No! Do you ever watch my channel? There are so many ways to fund deals without putting any money out of your own pocket. Now, can you put 20% down and get a loan? Yes. Do you have to? Absolutely not. Matter of fact, if you want to do any kind of serious volume in your business, meaning more than a couple a year, you're going to have to get really good at using OPM or other people's money so you have the leverage to be able to do it and not have to worry about it. If you're worried about 20% on every deal, you only have just so much money. And I'm guessing if you're watching this video, you're not a multi-billionaire trying to figure out how to flip houses, right? You're trying to find money to reach your dreams. That's what you want to do. So you're saying, how can I do this without having a ton of my own money in the deal? Maybe your money's tied up in retirement. Maybe it's tied up in equity. Maybe it's tied up in investments that you have. And I get that, but we're going to show you today how to use OPM to get this done. The great part about real estate is that real estate gives you so many options to use OPM. Now, I want you to think about it. You already know how to use OPM. You've already used it in your life. I can almost guarantee it. Have you ever bought a car with a loan? Have you ever bought anything with a loan? Have you ever used a credit card? Have you ever bought a home with a loan? Basically, you are using somebody else's money to make a purchase from someone else in a lump sum, and then you make payments to the person that loaned you the money. That's what a loan is. Same thing with real estate investing. The cool part is it's a hard asset. So a lot of people are willing to loan on a hard asset like that. They want to be part of the investment. Why? Because they get paid too. Matter of fact, they get paid pretty well. People that lend on flips, private money lenders, hard money lenders, they get usually anywhere from 8 to 16, almost up to 20% sometimes if you include the points they get, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But they can make a tremendous return on money while you're making a tremendous return flipping the house. It's a win-win scenario. The biggest confusion about real estate investing and needing money is in the name. A real estate investor implies you have to have money to invest. If you're a stock investor, you're not borrowing money from Uncle Larry to invest in the stock market. But if you're a real estate investor, you can borrow money from Uncle Larry, if you have an Uncle Larry, just to buy and renovate that house, and then you sell it, make a profit, and you pay Uncle Larry back his money plus a significant return of 10, 12, 15%. There's a lot of options out there as a real estate investor to use OPM or other people's money that are not available with any other investment. The great part is anybody who loans you money, whether it be a hard money lender, private lender, they are protected by a mortgage on the property. If you don't pay them, they can foreclose and own that property. So their initial investment and any interest is protected there. And also it's protected by insurance. When do you ever have that in an investment? So when there's kind of a catastrophic fire or a flood or something happens to the house, well, guess what? It's covered and your investor can get paid. So really, it's a very minimal risk investment for everyone to win. Okay, so that's all great, Glenn. Where do I get the money? All right, hard money lenders is a great place to start. As long as your credit score is not a 3, right? As long as you're in the high 500s, 6 is going to be better. But high 500s up to obviously as high as you can go. They do check your credit. It is not the main determining factor, but it is a factor. If you have horrible credit and you are knee deep in a bankruptcy, it's not going to work for you right now. But if you've had some problems in the past, but you've been showing you're out of that and your credit's back up in the 600 range, hey, and you have a good deal, they are much more concerned with the deal than they are about your credit, although your credit does have a factor in it for most hard money lenders. Now, what do they loan? They will usually loan you 80% of the purchase price of that house. So, for instance, if the house was a $100,000 purchase, they'll loan you 80% or $80,000 on that house. They will also loan you many times up to 100% of the renovation costs. So if your house was $50,000 to renovate, they'll give you $50,000 to renovate the house. They give that to you in draws, meaning as soon as you finish a phase, they send out an inspector. Within a couple of days, they wire the money to you. You can pay your contractor, and off you go. Now, we'll talk about how to fund some cash flow issues in just a moment. But for now, I want to talk about that 20% that you don't have in the deal right now. So right now, I just said they're going to give you 80% of the purchase price. That leaves 20% up in the air that you have to come up with. They want you to have some skin in the game. Now, we call that gap funding, because it's a gap that's left that you have to cover. You want to bridge the gap. $20,000, where do you find it? Look inward first. Where else can you borrow money that you have access to right now? Do you have a HELOC, a home equity line of credit? Do you have a 401k you could borrow against? Do you have a whole life policy with cash value you could borrow against? Do you have investments you could borrow against? Do you have credit cards you could put it on? There's a lot of ways you can borrow other people's money to cover the gap. Here's one of the challenges I promised you I'd talk about. Most new investors get caught up in not having enough cash flow on their deal because as they are doing the flip, cash is pouring out the door, meaning you're making monthly interest payments to the hard money lender. That can put a drain on cash. You also have to pay any maintenance costs on the property. You may have to front the contractor the check up front because they don't want to wait for a week for your hard money lender to send an inspector out. There are other cash, maybe taxes come due. Maybe there's more materials that are needed for a certain part of the job you didn't account for. Well, there are a lot of things you need cash for. How do you fix that? I recommend that you not only borrow the 20% from your cycle, from your pot you're going to borrow from, borrow 30%. Borrow $10,000 above and beyond so you have money to cash flow your deal. Now you say, Glenn, what if I don't have access to those things? Okay, number one, okay, maybe you're young, you haven't started yet, maybe you're starting over if something happened. Now you can go out and ask for private lenders. Imagine asking someone to be a private lender for you and paying them 10, 12, 15% for loaning you $20, $30, $40,000, a small amount of money. That's a small amount of money in real estate investing. And if you start by going after private lenders for a smaller amount of money, as you pay them back, you will start to gain their trust and then they will loan you more money down the road. Your goal is to have private lenders funding 100% of your deals. My wife and I have done over 1,200 flips and we still do over 100 deals a year. And for the renovations we do, 100% of those are funded by private lenders. No credit check, no business plan we have to show them. We just simply say, here's how much money I need. We borrow 110% of the money and we're good to go. That's where you want to get to when you're looking to use other people's money to fund your deals. But you start with hard money and private money. Now you can also use creative financing, where you have the seller be the bank. In other words, let the seller get paid after you finish the renovations. That's one way you can do it. You can use what's called subject to, where you take over existing payments for their existing loan. So they don't have to do anything except for just sign the house over to you and that becomes your house. There's a lot of other creative finance ways you can do it, including joint venturing. You can partner with somebody else. There's a lot of ways to do it with other people's money. You've got to be creative and you've got to think outside the box if you don't have the funds available, or you don't have a 401k to borrow from, you don't have a HELOC to borrow from, or if you're credit challenged. You can still do it without using your own money or using your own credit. It just might be a little more difficult, but it can be done. The truth is, when you find a great deal, the money always follows. I get that question a lot. Well, Glenn, I got to get the money for the deal. I go, do you have a deal yet? No. Well, that's why you don't have the money. Because once you find the deal, the money always follows. And the better the deal that you have, the deeper discount you borrowed at, the more motivated you're going to be to make sure you get that profit, and the more secure the lender is going to feel for giving you the money in the first place. So get really good at buying houses, because buying is where we make our money as real estate investors. And the beauty of all the methods I just showed you, you can combine any of them. Pick any 2 or 3 and combine them. Be creative. The only limit to your real estate investing business using other people's money is a limit to your imagination and what you can create as a real estate investor funding your own deals with other people's money. Other people's money flows to clear plans and focused investors. Go watch the next video, the crucial step new investors always miss, so you can put together the correct buy box for you. Because when you put together the correct buy box, you'll attract the right property, and the right property will attract the right money. So go watch the video now. The link is in the description below.